Let me actually real quick read up the rules. Now let's just roll 6. Bookmarks. During your time reading the game book, you will inevitably want to close the application. Oh, that's just for basically saving and restarting where we were. Also, oh, not. When you do so, it will automatically remember your section number, current stats and inventory, and return you to that point where you start the application again. There will be times where you may realize you made a wrong decision or were just plain unlucky in a fight. In these instances, there is something that can help. Each gamebook attempt comes with unlimited bookmarks that can be used at any time. You have 2 options. To save bookmarks, the easiest way is to access the widget by tapping the middle of the screen in the top right hand corner. The middle of the screen in the top right hand corner. Oh, tap the middle of the screen. Whatever. In the top right hand corner are 2 bookmark icons. By selecting that icon with the plus symbol, you can add a bookmark at any time. During the story, the icon on the left enables you to access a list of your bookmarks you have made during your session. Once the bookmarks list is open, you can select one of your existing bookmarks using the link next to the bookmark name, and it will take you back to your section. You can also add a bookmark to your current section from the bookmarks. Basically, it's just saving and reloading. Alrighty, let's hopefully get a bit luckier with our rolls here. We roll our stamina. We roll a 9. Well above average. We have a 21 stamina. Next we need to determine our skill. Let's try to get lucky again. 3. Almost at an average. Although it's actually technically below average because the center would be 3.5. Let's see whether we might get luckier than not. And a 2. I'm very tempted to just reroll this, guys. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really tempted to just reroll this because it's pretty brutal. When I was a kid, what I would do is I would just kind of assume I had the highest possible stats and then go from there. Restart! I agree. Well, I guess that's not how you restart. I don't know how you can restart, if you can. Options. Quick dice. Retro look. Ew. That's pretty bright. Font style fancy. Ancient. Dyslexic. Serif. I like serif as a font style. Like, fancy is nice, but it's easier to read this way. What do you guys think? I guess it remembers. Let's take a potion of skill and see whether we can begin our journey and maybe just die somewhere. Kind of awkward. I kind of wish we set a bookmark at the beginning of the previous set. We rolled a 7. We are lucky. Now we get attacked by snow wolves again. We must fight. Oh, we can actually make the picture higher, larger. So let's just continue fighting. We're likely going to get lucky. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Wonder whether you can cheat like this. Oh, you can. We could just reroll the fight if we wanted to. I can also just reroll the dice as they hit the ground. So here's the thing. If I roll the dice, I see we roll the 3 and the 1. That's no good. Let's roll something better. And I click again and it rolls again. Ah. That's kind of silly. Let's test your luck. Well, double 1. Fight on. Alrighty. This is mildly awkward. Can we not just wait? I think there was an option earlier somewhere. Restart book. There we go. Yes, please. Okay. Alrighty, let's get this going. I would like to roll a little bit better than that. Stamina is... oh, that's quite alright again. Let's roll the skill. I would like to have at least skill or luck to be really high, preferably. 5 is good. Alrighty. We have a skill score of 11 total now. That is pretty nice. We now roll a luck. A luck of 11 again. This is a good start. So now we choose a potion. I suggest we take the potion of skill. The potion of skill would allow us to just regain our, well, fighting power. Potion of luck might be important too. Which one do you think should we pick? Bookmark start, keep the decent rolls. Can you do that? We cannot bookmark yet. Well, soon I guess. We can try to avoid the luck encounters. We can try to do that. We go with skill points. Let's attempt it. Let's begin anew. So, how many people are new here and have not necessarily seen the first set here of this text, what the outset is, what the story is? Would you like me to read the entire thing again rather than just kind of bits and pieces of it? We can speed through, or we can just kind of go making it story time again. What would you guys prefer? There might be people who have just joined us and have no idea what's going on. It's essentially a choose your own adventure book. By the way, is the music a bit loud? Choose your own adventure essentially means we sometimes are offered with a few choices. Do we go left? Do we go right? Do we use a certain item or not? Do we choose to help or try to intervene? Very simple choices, but they can be quite impactful. It is a bit loud again. Yeah, I feel like right now it tends to be rather loud. Maybe, isn't that kind of when combat starts? Can you turn pages using arrow keys? There was keybinds when I started the game, but arrow keys right now do not work actually. So I turned down the music a bit. Is it better now? And I suggest we just start completely anew. Again, anybody who would like to just throw their opinion out there, maybe with reasoning, maybe you just feel like, attack the gigantic snow boulder that is coming down straight towards us, rather than leap out of the way, seems like a good idea, sure, let's do that. Feel free to just tell me what we should do. I will usually choose whatever person might say something in chat first, or maybe someone else has a good reasoning behind their idea and choice, we might stick with that. Or maybe I have a certain inclination to do certain things. Well then, I would say this is going to be pretty much Chapter 2, A Fresh Start. We are on page 1. Winters in the northern Alangia are always cruel and bitter. The snow falls thick and... hang on a second, guys. I'm pretty sure that music is not supposed to be playing like this. Alright, we are back to normal. I'm pretty sure it's actually stuck to the battle music. Alrighty. Take 2. Hum. We are on page 1. Caverns of the Snow Witch. Choose your own adventure book. Winters in the northern Alangia are always cruel and bitter. The snow falls thick, and the icy wind blows hard, chilling everybody to the bone. For the past few weeks, you have been hired by a merchant called Big Jim's son to protect his trading caravans as they roll their way slowly north to the frozen outposts. The horse-drawn carts are laden with cloth, utensils, weapons, salted meats, spices, and tea, which are traded for furs and ivory carvings from the mammoth's tusks. Big Jim is not usually worried about traveling north, as bandits only attack his caravans on the return journey. he is not alone in recognizing the value of the northern goods. In this particular trip, you are walking ahead of 6 carts across the frozen lake. In the distance, you can see the snow-capped peaks of the Icefinger Mountains jutting out of low cloud. Your destination lies at the base of the mountains, where the Northmen meet to trade. Snow is falling, but not too heavily. You stop to prod the ice with your sword to make sure it can bear the weight of the carts, when suddenly, the shrill call of a hunting horn breaks the silence. You stand up, run back to the cars to talk to Big Jim. He is sitting next to the driver of the second cart, puffing on a long briar pipe. A huge man with a great bushy beard, Big Jim is obviously a man to be reckoned with. His bright blue eyes scan the horizon, searching for signs of life. In a deep voice, he says, "Sounds like it came from the outpost. I reckon you better go and investigate. Could be trouble. And get back quick." You set off straight away towards the outpost at the base of the Icefinger Mountains. You arrive 2 hours later at the scene of an ugly carnage. The snow is red with blood, and all the wooden huts are smashed and torn down. 6 men lie dead, their bodies slashed, their axes at their sides in the snow. Judging by the size of the footprints, the creature that attacked the outpost must have been enormous. There's nothing you can do for the unfortunate Northmen, so you head back towards Big Jim's caravan to report the news. You reach them in an hour just as the daylight is fading, and relate the terrible events that have befallen the outpost. Big Jim orders the carts to be drawn into a circle to protect his men during the night. A large fire is built into the center of the circle, and you sit down beside it to talk to Big Jim. Everybody is nervous, and a guard is posted to watch for signs of movement outside. In a low voice, Big Jim asks you if you will hunt the terrible creature, for otherwise his business will be ruined forever. You smile and reply that you will track the beast, but only for a purse of 50 gold pieces. Big Jim's jaw drops open, and it takes a great deal of persuasion before he agrees to your demand. The snow finally stops falling as you settle down for the night. Sleep is a long time coming, for your mind is active with thoughts of the impending hunt. When you wake just after dawn, the fire is reduced to dying embers. Wisps of smoke rise gently into the morning mist, and not a sound is to be heard. You walk over to where Big Jim is sleeping and tap him on the shoulder. He wakes with a start, and you tell him that you are setting off and hope to be back later in the day. You wave at the guard as the snow starts to fall again, and make your way back to the outpost. Turn over. By the time you reach the outpost again, the bodies are blanketed with snow, and the beast's footprints are covered over. The visibility is poor as you set off towards the mountains where you hope to find the abominable killer beast. The snow on the mountainside is soft, and you sink in up to your knees as you climb slowly up. You soon find yourself at the edge of the crevasse, which is spanned by an ice bridge. If you wish to cross the crevasse by the ice bridge, turn to page 335. If you'd rather walk around the crevasse, turn to page 310. And here, once again, chat is heavily invited to participate. Just shout which one you would like to see, which one we should take. In this case, since we have taken some of those options already, if you are new here, feel free to let me know what we should do, and we might just take your choice instead of people that have been around here before. Alrighty, Quadlight says 335. Let's try to cross the crevasse. The bridge is quite narrow and very slippery. We need to test our luck. Luck score works like this. We have total luck score of 11, and we rolled a luck score of 5. We need to roll below it. We win. Excellent. Now, worth noting, this did take up one of our luck rolls. which means, or 1 point of luck, which means next time we need to roll 10 or below. You tread carefully over the bridge, safely across the crevasse. You continue your slow trek through the snow. Turn to page 212. Using your sword, you cut hand and toe holes into the side of the crevasses and hold yourself up. The wind starts to howl, blowing gusts of snow into your face. You put your head down and stride into it. Above the howl of the wind, you suddenly become aware of another sound, the howling of wolves. You draw your sword while trying to peer through the snow. As if out of nowhere, 2 snow wolves appear in front of you, hunched, ready to pounce. They are completely white, except for the blood-red eyes. Suddenly, one leaps at you. You must fight. Let's add another bookmark here. Because if we get really unlucky, I would like to re-roll it. But if we just get average luck, we will roll with it. Round 1. Fight. The way fighting works is we have a skill of 11, which basically we have opposing rolls. If we roll an 11, if we roll more than the wolf, we damage the wolf. If the wolf rolls more, we get damage. We have 20 stamina. Each time we hit, we take 2 points of... we deal or take 2 points of damage, depending on who hits. Also, whenever I see a kind of low roll, I can attempt to cheat the rolls once. I can only do this once. I can essentially briefly try to see, oh, my rolls are low and can have the dice jump up again. You hit the first snow wolf. Nice. We can also test our luck. We can essentially invest luck points and roll against our luck score to either increase the damage we do, or if we get unlucky, we get, well, we deal less damage. And those 2 snow wolves are no match for the new improved Jager. Who knows? Trick or treat! Trick or treat! Aww. RPG Check, thank you very much for the host and the raid. Welcome everybody. We are currently playing the Caverns of the Snow Witch. It is a choose your own adventure book. If you'd like to make your opinion heard as to what we should do next, feel free to let me know, even if you have no idea about what's going on. Right now we are in a fight and there's not much we can do differently. Twitch or treat. Trick or treat. Welcome guys, I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for the 20 bits as well. Miss Hawk, I appreciate that. Fight on. Let's do this. We have pretty low rolls. Let's try to cheat a little. But we get slashed anyways. We lose 2 points of stamina. Fight on. We roll a 3 and a 5. Our average score has to be only 3 higher, or can be 3 less than the wolf, and we are even. So we can fight on. The first wolf appears to be almost dead. We are making steady progress. We are quite a skilled fighter. Not like our last incarnation, who struggled with the first one, then got slashed by the second wolf. We keep fighting and winning. The wolves stand no chance. The second wolf tries his luck as well. However, it's no stronger than the first one. Slice and dice. One slash after another. We managed to be victorious after a short struggle. The wolf should have fled. They were not strong enough. Maybe we can get something for being victorious against them. We lost 2 points of stamina. Stamina is essentially our health. If it falls to 0, we lose. We currently have provisions, 10 provisions. If we use 1 set of provision, we gain 5 stamina back. Potion of skill we can also use to refill our skill if we happen to lose skill here or there for one reason or another. We currently have a backpack, leather armor, sword as a weapon, and in our hand we have the sword. The current plot that we are looking into is a beast has slain 6 men at an outpost. You are hunting the beast for a 50 gold piece bounty. Well, that is currently what we are attempting to do, and we got kind of attacked by wolves while being on the prowl. Provisions restore 4 stamina. Possible. My brain is horrible, but thank you. Alrighty, we win. Turn to page 202. You step past the still bodies of the wolves and continue your journey through the swirling snow. The climb becomes steeper and is going slow. I kind of feel we should have at least taken some more provisions from those wolves, but at the same time, maybe we are kind of loaded already. Who knows? The snow is beginning to fall very heavily, swirling around in the strong wind. A blizzard is starting. If you wish to use your sword to dig a shelter in the snow, turn to page 281. If you would rather press on, turn to page 229. Well guys, what should we go for? And hey RPG Check, welcome to you. Also welcome to you, Frostrum, Miss Hawk, 2D Kiri, Daryl Bratz, Frozen, Gibowlin, and also welcome to you, Kindview. I didn't say that earlier. 229. Alrighty, we go to 229. Again, anybody is welcome to just point their opinion. I will usually choose whoever says something first. But if someone else has a compelling argument as to why we should choose another option, we might just do this. Alrighty, let's try to press on. We are quite skilled and also somewhat lucky. Maybe we can move on. The temperature is well below freezing point, and the howling blizzard chills you to the bone. You struggle to walk through the snowstorm, but it drains your energy. You lose 2 stamina points. We are still alive. The blizzard worsens. You can barely see your hand in front of your face. You still wish to walk through the blizzard. Turn to page 387. You would rather dig yourself a shelter in the snow with your sword. Turn to page 281. Which should we go for? Spotlight says 387, Nayabit agrees. Alrighty, we move on. We can go and keep going through the blizzard. The cold is almost unbearable. Your hands and feet are numb, and you wonder if you will be able to grip your sword should danger arise. By the time the blizzard finally dies down, you realize that you should have taken shelter. One of your hands has become frostbitten. Test your luck. We roll high. You need a luck score of 10, and roll the luck score of 10. Excellent. We win. We need to roll lower than our luck score in order to succeed, and we almost lost. But we were lucky. Fortunately, it is not your sword arm which is affected by the frostbite, but nevertheless, the blizzard has taken its toll. You lose 1 skill point and 3 stamina points. We're still alive. And we move on. You are tempted to turn around and walk back to Big Jim's son's caravan, but your reputation is at stake, and you have no choice but to carry on with the grim trek up the mountainside. Still alive indeed. Currently, we are quite far down on stamina. Our skill has taken a hit, and we are not quite as lucky as we used to be. Still, pretty solid. Underneath an overhanging rock, you see a small wooden hut built against the side of the mountain. Its roof is piled high with the snow, and long icicles hang down from the window ledges. You see a set of steep footprints leading from the hut up the side of the mountain. If you wish to enter the hut, turn to page 36. If you would rather follow the footprints in the snow, turn to page 190. Well then. Do we go into the hut? Or do we follow the footprints? Alrighty, it has been decided. We enter the hut. Or we try to anyway. The front door of the hut is frozen shut, and you have to batter it with your shoulder to open it. There's only one room inside the hut, containing the belongings of a fur trapper. Traps, furs and sacks are stacked in a corner of the room. A wooden bed, a table and chair, and some cooking utensils show signs of recent use, and the ashes in the fire are still warm. If you wish to put some logs in the fire and warm up the cold stew in one of the pans, turn to page 118. If you would rather leave the hut and continue your quest, turn to page 192. Well then, Sir Raxin Knight says, let's have some food. It's not ours, but, well, we have provisions if we need to give back. An arm needs some heat, it does indeed. The fire is soon roaring and crackling in the hearth. The heat of the flames radiates through your body, and you revel in the warmth. The stew is delicious, and you feel your strength returning. You gain 3 stamina points. With renewed energy, you decide to leave the hut and continue your quest. Turn to page 192. As you are about to leave the hut, you catch sight of some weapon lying under the bed. If you wish to take a couple of them with you, turn to page 255. If you do not wish to be encumbered by the additional weight and would rather leave without the weapons, turn to page 263. Which one do we go for? We already have taken the stew. It's kind of rude actually to just go into the hut. There must clearly someone living here. TC Matthews and Knifewatch both agree. Let's take a couple of them with us. You take a warhammer and a spear before leaving the hut. Let's turn to page 263. Outside again in the snow, you set off on your trek up the mountainside, following the footprints in the snow. Turn to page 190. The high altitude and thin atmosphere make you pant for breath. As you continue your steady climb, you lose 1 stamina point. We are still alive. You have 15 stamina out of 20. Suddenly, you hear the cry of a human voice followed by a ferocious roar. Not far ahead, you see a fur trapper fighting for his life against a gigantic bear-like beast with long white fur and sharp teeth protruding from its jaws. It is the killer beast you have been hunting, the abominable Yeti. If you watch the unfortunate trapper being gashed by the Yeti's claws and falling face down in the snow. Incensed by the vicious attack, you scream at the Yeti and run through the snow to attack it. Well, this does not look good for this poor trapper. Are you carrying a spear? If you are, turn to page 391. Spear him. Well done. Carefully, you have the spear in your grasp, aiming at the Yeti. You have the frostbite in your sword arm. Turn to page 195. If not, turn to 249. Gripping the shaft tightly, you pull back your arm and hurl the spear at the snarling Yeti. Roll 1 die. If you roll a 1, turn to page 157. You roll a 2 or greater, turn to page 219. We rolled a 1 twice! You rolled a 1. Which is not so fun. The shaft is icy and it slips from your grip as you release it. The spear misses the Yeti, plummeting harmlessly into the snow. Turn to page 378. By the way, I can essentially, while the dice are still falling to the ground, I can re-click in order to potentially re-roll them. No luck this time, I can only do this once. So it's a minor game of skill. Hey TB Cortez, welcome to you. You draw your sword and lunge at the huge white beast. You must fight. The Yeti has a skill score of 11. He's favored, he's stronger. And he also has a stamina of 17, I think. Let's try to fight it. Maybe we stand a chance. And a bookmark? Too late. I think I messed up. We slash the Yeti. Strike first. That was actually 12. We fight on. This is going to be a rather vicious battle. We could test our luck. We have pretty good luck. We could deal more damage with it. Let's try to fight on for now, the normal way. We roll a 6 and a 1. The Yeti rolls a 20 total. We get stricken for 2 more damage. We roll again. The Yeti. He's just stronger. He's more agile, more nimble. We lose our grasp. We keep taking more damage. It's looking rather dire. As we strike the Yeti again, both of us bloodied, yet still ready to fight for a while to come. With a clever feint, we managed to hit the Yeti again. Well, maybe it's time to test our luck with a fancy maneuver. See whether we can go for it. Another strike, just blowing after the first one. We must fight on. More and more. We roll low, and we get struck again. The Yeti is strong. The battle rages on. Despite our lucky find, we are equals for now. One lucky hit, and we might be able to fight him on. But we get struck again. We are at the brink of death. We get hit once more. We can test our luck. Maybe you can reduce the damage we take. We can. 1 less damage. We roll again, striking the Yeti. We both have but 1 attack. However, try a clever ruse, but it fails. We know to deal 1 less damage this time around. The Yeti is almost dead, panting. But clearly we are not in much better shape. We test our luck again. And this time, we are triumphant. This was a rough battle. We have lost a lot of luck, and also our stamina not looking good. You kneel down beside the fur trapper and turn him over, slowly. His eyes are barely open, and blood trickles down from the corner of his mouth. We are too late. The Yeti has gouged deep wounds in his chest, and you realize there is no hope of saving him. With a great effort, he reaches up and grabs you around the neck, pulling you down so that you can hear his dying words. He thanks you for trying to save him, and insists on telling you his secret. In terrible pain, he struggles to whisper his story. He tells you that he has lived in the mountains for most of his life, hunting animals and trading the furs. But for the last 5 years, he has been searching for the legendary crystal caves. These caves have been cut out of a glacier by the followers of the Snow Witch, a beautiful yet evil sorceress who is trying to use her dark powers to bring on an ice age so that she can rule supreme over the whole world. The entrance to the crystal caves is high up on this very mountain. It is open, but hidden by an illusion. The unfortunate fur trapper found it by accident only yesterday, when he saw one of the Snow Witch's warriors seemingly walk straight through an ice wall and disappear. The trapper left a piece of fur hanging over the entrance, so that he could find it again the next day. Sadly, the Yeti has put an end to his hopes. He asks you to enter the caves to slay the wild Snow Witch and leave her followers without their leader. There are legends about great treasures being frozen into the wall of the Snow Witch's lair, which would provide ample reward. The fur trapper suddenly grips you hard, and then falls back silently into the snow. He's dead. You cover him with snow before deciding what to do. 50 gold pieces await if you return with evidence of the Yeti's death to Big Jim's son. But the thought of a quest through the crystal caves beneath Icefinger Mountains excites you, and you decide to set off to find them. After eating a bunch of food, that is, because we are almost dead here. We take a quick rest, regaining 4 stamina points each time we use a provision. Back up to 14 stamina. This should suffice. For now. Now that the snow has stopped falling, the sky is clear and blue. The air is cold and crisp, and the snow crunches beneath your feet. Slowly, you make your way up the mountainside, looking for the cave entrance marker left by the fur trapper. Suddenly, you hear a distant rumbling from above, the terrifying sound of an avalanche. We must test our luck. You need to roll low in order to be lucky. You need to roll under your luck score of 5, but we rolled a 7. Sadly, your luck has run out. You look up and see a great cascade of snow tumbling down the mountainside. With horror, you realize that you are standing in the path of the avalanche. You look around and see an outcrop under which you could shelter. The approaching mass of snow is no more than 100 meters away, and you struggle to run for cover. Roll 2 dice. The total is the same or less than your skill score. Turn to 81. The total is greater than your skill score. Turn to 371. So, with an 11 or 12, we might have a dire fate. But we are skilled enough to escape the avalanche in time. You dive under the outcrop as the snow crashes down all around you, pressing yourself as close as you can against the ice-covered wall of your shelter. You wait until the avalanche has passed by. With a sigh of relief, you set off again in search of the crystal caves. Turn to page 363. You make your way slowly up the mountain until you reach a rock face that is too steep to climb. You walk around the side until you see a massive wall of ice, which completely blocks a gully between 2 peaks of the mountain, the glacier. Your heart leaps as you catch sight of the piece of fur left hanging on the wall of ice by the trapper. Although you cannot see the entrance, you walk straight ahead. You shut your eyes as you think you are about to walk into the wall of ice, but you walk straight through the illusion and find yourself inside a long tunnel carved into the ice. You walk down it and soon arrive at a T-junction. If you wish to turn left, go to page 395. If you wish to turn right, turn to page 315. Where do we go, guys? RPG Check says, page 395, we turn to the left, as most people tend to do when they are given the choice left or right. The tunnel bends around the right. As you turn the corner, you almost bump into a tall, pale-skinned humanoid coming the other way. He's wearing a white cloak with a hood pulled over his head. He's a mountain elf, one of the Snow Witch's follower. What will you do? Do we just casually walk past him? Turn to page 89. Tell him you have to come to join the Snow Witch's follower. Turn to page 274. Or do we just straight up attack him with our sword? Which one should we choose? We can't decide. Difficult. T.Z. Matthews says, let's just casually walk past him, nothing to see here. You nod your head at him and walk by, nonchalantly. Test your luck. Our luck is 4, which means we need to roll a 4 or lower. We don't get lucky. Oh, actually we have 5. Oh no, we rolled a 5. Sadly, your luck has run out. Turn to page 103. The mountain elf looks surprised and asks why you are not wearing your obedience collar. You see that he is wearing a metal collar around his neck, which glows in the semi-darkness, and realize that it must be the collar he is talking about. If you wish to reply that you have put one way recently and are having your collar widened, turn to page 70. If you'd rather attack the elf before he raises the alarm, turn to page 382. An obedience collar. Hmm. How likely is it? What do we do, guys? Are we just a poor liar? Or do we make sure that the elf does not get away? We have decided. We may have put on some too much weight. The mountain elf laughs and says he never puts on any weight, but if he was fortunate enough to be able to take off his collar, he might try to run away. He has hardly finished the sentence when he screams in pain. He tries in vain to pull the obedience collar from his neck, begging forgiveness at the top of his voice from an unseen master. He finally stops screaming and slumps to the floor, his face dripping with sweat. You ask him if he is alright, but he does not respond. You lose one luck point. You decide to leave him and press down the tunnel. Turn to page 241. The tunnel forks and you must decide quickly which way to go. You can hear the sound of running feet coming down the branch to your right. You wish to run down the left branch. Turn to page 221. You would rather head down the right branch to face whoever is coming toward you. Turn to page 145. Keep in mind, guys, our luck is really poor, but we might be able to stand in battle against enemies. What do you think? Which one should we choose? iFort says 145 face tank. Let's try. You draw your sword and head down the tunnel. Two goblins with ugly faces run into view, both wearing glowing metal collars around their necks. They see you and advance, snarling, with trackers drawn. Fight them one at a time in the narrow tunnel. How convenient. You must fight. The goblins are weaklings. They would have to roll at least 6 higher than we in order to have any semblance of a chance. We strike the goblin hard. Stands no chance. We strike him again. He's a weakling. One last blow and finishes him off. You have defeated the first goblin. Now you must face the second goblin, who tries to get past his brother. Unfortunately for him, he is no stronger than his brother. It looks like we have slain them without any trouble. Actually, that was 3 damage rather than just 2. You win, turn to 347. I'm glad you like that. You search through the clothing of the goblins and find some provisions, a candle and 2 gold pieces, which you decide to take, along with their daggers. The metal collars around their necks have stopped glowing, but you cannot remove them. After putting the goblins' possessions in your backpack, you set off further down the tunnel. Let's see. We now have a candle, 2 gold pieces, 2 daggers, a warhammer, a frostbitten hand, spear, sword, and a warhammer. Does the music in combat sound weird as it's just you? It sounds louder. I'm not sure about weird. Further ahead, in the left-hand wall of the tunnel, you see a gap. You walk up to it and peer around to see a cave in which a Neanderthal is stripping the skin of a moose, making it ready for the large simmering stew pot behind him. He is working very slowly and is being yelled at by the gnome cook, who is wearing a white apron and waving a wooden spoon in the air. Sounds a little warped. Moose meat! If you wish to enter the crude kitchen, turn to page 95. You would rather creep past the entrance, avoid them. Turn to page 267. Well, the goblin and his servant look interesting. Well, we do have plenty of provisions. We have health. We might be able to encounter them. What do you guys think? 95 it is. iFudge decides. The gnome runs up to you and shouts,
Get out! Dinner will not be ready for another 2 hours. You'll hear the bell. Mind you, you look a little worse for wear, so you can have this stale cake if you wish.
The gnome points at a piece of cake lying on the table. If you wish to take the cake and leave, turn to page 290. If you would rather attack the Snow Witch's servants, turn to page 187. Cake! 290. Well, I think it's decided. Quadlade, Smarfismarv, RPG Chick, TC Matthews, iFudge, everybody. Cake! It's stale cake. Well, I guess it's still cake. Birthday cake! Even if it's not your birthday. There's some achievements. You leave the cave and turn left, back into the tunnel, eating the cake as you go. It is stale and virtually tasteless, but gives you a little energy. You gain 1 stamina point. Alright, turn to page 198. How much stamina do we have right now? 15? Decent. In the distance you hear chanting voices. Before long the tunnel ends at the entrance to a large cavern. Kneeling down before an ice effigy in the shape of a demon, their hooded faces pressed to the ice floor in worship, are 10 of the Snow Witch's followers. There are 2 exits from the cave, one to your left and one to your right. You're wearing the cloak, we do not have a cloak. If you are not wearing a cloak, turn to page 260. You breathe in deeply and walk casually through the cavern, towards the tunnel to your right. Let's turn to page 370. You are almost at the entrance to the tunnel when the worshippers stop their chanting. They stand up and one of them calls out to you asking why you did not stop to sing the praises of the Frozen One. If you have a magic flute, you can tell them that you have been ordered to go and play it for the Snow Witch. We don't have a magic flute. Otherwise you may either turn and fight them, or you can try to run for the tunnel. You know, we are stronger than lucky. I suggest we fight, unless someone has another idea. iFudge says fight. And all the enemies have words in their name. The followers are a group of goblins, orcs and Neanderthals. There are too many of them for you to overcome, and you are soon captured. They drag you over to a circle of ice, dyed blue, in which the effigy stands. Amid wails and wild shouting, they throw you into the blue circle. The effigy immediately jerks its frozen limbs into motion. You have unleashed the power of an ice demon. The ice demon unleashes a jet of freezing gas that shoots out from its nostrils. Roll 2 dice. If the total is same or less than your skill score, you may win. You definitely pass the skill check. We may not fight them, but we might still survive. You leap out of the way of the freezing gas and prepare yourself to attack. You must fight. We fight an ice demon. He appears to be strong, his stamina is high. But we might just be stronger. Who knows? The first attack, he strikes us. Barely, but we feel it, certainly. Then we slash back. He's an easy target if we just attack him from the right angle. The ice demon comes back again. We try to hit. Strike. The ice demon starts to crumble. We strike him again, viciously. He looks like he is about to fall into pieces. We try again, striking him again and again, relentlessly. Striking him again. Apparently, he is slowing down. Maybe we are just faster than him. Or maybe the adrenaline is helping us. One last strike, the battle is over. You are triumphant. The ice demon crashes to the floor in a pile of broken ice. The Snow Witch's followers fall back in terror, afraid that you might now possess the demon's powers. You gain 1 luck point. Unchallenged, you're able to leave the cave by the exit tunnel. Hey, we actually gained luck. That's interesting. Turn to page 137. No one is a match for us. The tunnel ends quite soon at the D-junction. To your left you can hear cries for help. If you wish to turn to left, turn to page 311. If you wish to turn right, turn to page 125. I'm going to add another bookmark here. So where shall we go? We are strong enough to help anybody that needs help, but maybe also we don't necessarily want to have all that much attention on us. T.C. Matthews decides we are going to the left. The tunnel ends at the edge of a pit, out of which a dwarf is trying to climb, but he keeps on slipping back. The floor of the pit is covered with large ice boulders, which have crashed down from a shaft above the pit. One lands on the dwarf's shoulders, and you hear wild cheers from the top of the shaft as he tumbles on the floor, or to the floor. The dwarf sees you and shouts, "Curse you, stranger! If you do not aid me, I see that you are not wearing a collar." If you wish to help the dwarf out of the pit, turn to page 376. If you would rather ignore his pleas and walk back to the junction, turn to page 57. Do we help the dwarf? Do we leave him there? What shall we do? I mean, there's people watching up there and throwing ice boulders at us. We might get hit if we try to help him. Losing a lot, and the dwarf might still end up being while dying. On the other hand, he could also be a valuable follower. Helper, one way or another. What do you think, guys? What should we do? Vandros Draconis says we should help. This is what we came here for. We help. We help, of course. Alrighty, we help. Also, real quick, for anyone who may have just joined, even if you have no idea what's going on, if you feel like you would like to decide we do this now, or this option sounds awesome, or this one sounds funny, feel free to tell me. We can just go with it. Usually I will choose the first one that is shouted, unless someone has a compelling argument for something else. We help the dwarf. I'm a good at two shoes after all. You lie down and lean over the edge of the pit and tell the dwarf to grab your arm. Much to the annoyance of the spectators above, the dwarf escapes from the pit. You run together back to the junction where the dwarf turns right. You tell the dwarf that you intend to carry straight on to fight the Snow Witch, as turning right will lead you back to the Hall of Worship. The dwarf tells you he must escape quickly and return to his village now that he is free. He thanks you for helping him and hands you a leather bag, then runs off. But before he disappears, he turns and shouts, "Beware of the white rat!" You open the leather bag and find a sling and 3 iron balls. You pack them away and set off along the tunnel. Vandros Draconis, thank you for the 500 bits. I really appreciate those. Alrighty. Turn to page 125. Moving down the other tunnel after all, in the end. But we have a sling and 3 iron balls. The tunnel through the glaciers soon leads into the mountainside itself and the walls. Chains from ice to bare rock. You enter a large cavern which has 3 other exits leading from it. One to your left, one to your right, and the main one carved as a giant skull lying directly opposite. As you enter, an ugly robed man steps out of the mouth of the skull, holding a glass prism in his outstretched hands. He commands you to turn back, as only the Snow Witch's personal servants are allowed inside the mountain. If you have a magic flute, you may play it. We don't have one. You may attack him with your sword. Turn to page 156. The ugly man sneers as you draw your sword. He rubs the prism, and suddenly 3 identical images of himself appear. They walk towards you. Each one has a dagger raised in his hand. 2 of the images must be illusions, but which one will you strike with your sword? Do we strike the one on the left? Turn to page 99. Do we strike the man in the middle? Turn to page 307. Do we strike the man on the right? Turn to page 232. T.C. Matthews says the right, atheist, and Dark Vesperia said middle. Kite under the sky says left. In this case, we have two people just saying little. Let's try to slash the one that is in the center. The illusionist laughs out loud. Your sword merely cuts through one of his images, and his dagger plunges into your shoulder. You lose 2 points of stamina. You're still alive, continue on. The illusionist withdraws his dagger, and his 3 images prepare to strike you again. You decide to swipe your blade across all 3 of the images in an attempt to strike the real illusionist. Test your luck. We need to roll 3 less. Chances for that are 2 in... Actually, that's not necessarily true. It's pretty low. Pretty low. Ooh, but we get lucky. You need a luck score of 3 and roll the luck score of 2. Excellent. I can bounce up the dice once if I see that it might not be a favorable result. Just once. We are lucky. The illusionist screams in pain as your sword cuts into his side. He drops to the floor as his other 2 images fade away. As you step over him, he starts to laugh and stands up, his wound completely healed. If you wish to thrust your sword at him, again, turn to page 261. If you wish to try and smash his prism, turn to page 72. Smarfy Smarf says, Smashy smash! Smash it. You pretend to give up the fight, and then suddenly leap at the illusionist, catching him momentarily off guard. You manage to snatch the prism out of his hands and throw it on the floor. It shatters into tiny pieces, and the illusionist turns and flees into the skullmouth, screaming at the top of his voice. Smoke rises from the shattered fragments of the prism and forms itself into the shape of a bald, fat man. A genie. Hovering in midair, he bows and thanks you for releasing him. He tells you that if you call on him, he will make you invisible. Just once. As a token of his gratitude without saying another word, the image shimmers and disappears. You now have to decide which way to head. Will you enter the tunnel on your left? Enter the tunnel of the skull mouth, the center, or enter the tunnel on your right. You figured middle because he didn't hint that he changed spots with an illusion. Yeah, I understand that logic and reasoning. I had the same thought too. But it turns out the center was no good. Maybe all 3 options are bad. Who knows? Maybe the 3rd option is even worse than what we had. Let's actually take a quick look at our stamina. We have 9 provisions. I suggest we fill up our stamina a bit more. Maybe even a little bit more. We have no idea what awaits ahead. So, do we go left? Do we go to the right? Or do we enter the gigantic skull in the center? If I were to guess, the tunnels on the left and the right are going to be dead ends, storage rooms or cottages for servants, something of that kind. The center appears to be where we will want to go eventually. No one wants to enter the wrong room again. Who knows? Let's add a bookmark. We enter the room on the right. Kite under the sky has decided. Thank you very much. As soon as you step into the tunnel, an iron grill drops down behind you, barring your retreat. It is impossible to lift, and there is nothing you can do but find out what lies at the end of the tunnel. You soon arrive at another iron grill, which blocks your way forward. Beyond the grill, the tunnel turns left. On the wall opposite, you see a knob which you realize must be pressed to lift the iron grill. Unfortunately, it is beyond your reach, even if you stretch out with your sword. If you have one dagger or more dagger, turn to page 234. Do you have actually a dagger? Explore a bit, how about right? I do agree. You aim carefully between the iron bars and throw your dagger at the wooden knob. Test your luck. Why not skill? We need to roll a 2, exactly. Well, sadly, your luck has run out. The dagger just misses the knob, bouncing off the stone wall. You have another dagger, turn to page 16. You take careful aim and throw the dagger at the knob. There's no chance that we can win, is there? 0. Sadly, your luck has run out. Your escape plan has failed, and you are trapped inside the mountain tunnels. You know it will not be long before the Snow Witch's guards discover you and condemn you to a life of slavery. You have failed your mission. The end. All because our luck has run out. That's cruel. It is. This is how choose your own adventure books work. So, can I now choose my bookmarks again, or am I too late for that? Ah, use last bookmark. I suggest we return back to the fork. We've already done one full trip. Let's just say we had a vision. We had a vision of getting trapped. And that's essentially in the end ultimately not being lucky enough to escape. The vision suddenly fades. We stand in front of the 3 tunnels again. We dare not to enter to the right, but maybe to the left. We'll have a fate that is nicer. Let's explore. As soon as you step into the tunnel, an iron grill drops down behind you, barring your retreat. It is impossible to lift, and there is nothing you can do but find out what lies at the end of the tunnel. You soon arrive at an iron door, which blocks your way forward. Beyond the iron door, the tunnel turns to the right. We do not have a key, so we turn to the right. You are trapped inside the mountain tunnels. You know that it will not be long before the Snow Witch's guards discover and condemn you to a life of slavery. You have failed your mission. As the vision fades again, we decide to enter the center. Neither left nor right is correct. Maybe the center will not be correct either. We move to 288. The tunnel soon leads into another cavern, where you see a huge, white-bearded man, wearing white furs, lifting a wood chest onto a high shelf. He is a frost giant. There is only one other exit out of his lair, via a tunnel in the opposite wall. If you wish to run through his lair into the opposite tunnel, turn to page 243. If you wish to attack him, turn to page 112. I would like to once again point out that we have more skill than luck. Maybe fighting him is the better option. Although, maybe we could get lucky just once. I believe iFudge just said, let's go freeze. Fight. The frost giant has not yet noticed you. His face is creased as he concentrates on his task, oblivious to anything around him. If you have a sling and wish to use it against the frost giant, turn to page 373. Turns out, slings are not good enough to press switches in walls through Git, so we could only use daggers there. Oh well. Well, I would like to use a sling, or maybe we would like to preserve it? Maybe there's other reasons to use a sling later on, and well, we only have a very limited ammunition. How much ammunition do we have, as a matter of fact? We have 3 iron balls which can be used for a sling. Would it use 1? Would it use 3? Maybe it wouldn't do anything. Who knows? Sinuel says, we fight with the sword. You raise your sword and approach the frost giant. The frost giant turns to face you with the wooden chest raised above his head. He grunts with the effort and hurls the chest at you. Test your luck. We are unlucky. Turn to page 357. You react slowly to the improvised missile, and the full force of the flying chest hits you at the stomach. You are winded and staggered back against the wall. You lose 2 stamina points. You are still alive, fighting. The frost giant lumbers towards you, intent of finishing you off. During each round of combat, you must reduce your attack strength by 2 because you are winded. Attack strength reduced by 2. You may escape after 2 attack rounds by running out of his lair into the next tunnel. Well, let's fight. He's strong. Stronger than us, especially since he caught us off guard. We must fight. We need to roll significantly higher than the frost giant, at least 3, in order to deal any damage. He strikes us with his fists. We retaliate with our swords. It looks like the frost giant is not as sturdy as he looks, although he is surprisingly nimble, being able to strike us repeatedly. However, with a clever ruse, we manage to slash him again. One more strike. He retaliates with a backhand slash we didn't expect, and hits us straight in the face. We take more damage. The battle rages on, and we manage to slice off his left toe. Well, maybe he will run away, or maybe we can fight him. Fight him to the death. As he strikes us again, the opportunity to run into the cave to the side might emerge. Should we run? Should we continue fighting? It looks like the frost giant is not going to last much longer, but on the other hand, he's stronger than we are, more agile, more nimble, especially since we took quite a hit. Death before dishonor. Let's fight him. We strike the frost giant again. He tumbles and wheezes. He's almost dead. Let's try to finish him off with this blow. We strike and tie. Our blow glances off his leather wrist. Neither his attack nor ours connect, so we try again, going for his head this time. Our strike connects, but only plinks off the helmet. His helmet is pretty sturdy as it appears as well. We should avoid it. Maybe with just more moves left to the chest, we might have a better chance. Let's try again. He strikes us square in the face. Unfortunately, that will take quite a toll on us. We managed to be really strong and make a forward salto mortale, trying to hit him, but the frost giant just retaliates with a roundhouse kick, as we both have very good rolls, but his is better. We are starting to lose our strength, but with one final blow, we are triumphant. We win. Turn to page 45. It was a hard-fought victory, but we managed to continue. You examine the wooden chest lying on the floor and decide to prise it open with your sword. Inside you find 3 ornate rings and a cracked bottle which emits a sweet odor. Wish to try on any of the rings, turn to page 65. If you would rather walk through the next tunnel, turn to page 338. Well, our skill has returned back to normal as we can rest a little bit. Our provisions still reasonably high, but at the same time, they also seem to be running low at Try on the rings. We did earn the rings. Having rubbed the bottle and sniffed your fingers, you decide that it is only perfume inside. You examine the 3 rings and decide which one to put on your finger. Will we put on the gold ring, the silver ring, or the copper ring? Atheist man says, we try on the silver ring, middle of the road. Maybe it's not too greedy, maybe it's nice. You're now wearing a ring which drains your life force. Roll 2 dice. The total will be deducted from your stamina score. You roll pretty high. 8. We are left with 11 stamina. We survive, but we pull the cursed ring off our finger and crush it beneath our foot. Unfortunately, not before we lose some skill points. Roll 1 die. The total will be deducted from your skill score. Well then, we can try on more rings. It might be getting lucky. Well, we lose skill, 2 skill. This is by the way a mistake. We now are left with 8 skill. We could use our potion to restore our fighting power back to full strength. Or maybe we could just see whether we might lose more skill and get more out of the deal. Or not. As we contemplate trying on more of the rings, we eat some of more of our provisions. We definitely lost a lot of energy there. You're terrible at this. I'm pretty sure it's always the same quad light. It can't be worse that ring, right? Might as well try the other ones. Kite on the disguises. Let's try the gold ring. You're now wearing a magic ring which will enable its wearer to resist the effects of freezing cold. You gain 1 luck point. Well, we could still try on the copper ring. What are the chances that there's 2 bad rings? What's the chances that there are 2 good rings? Well, you decide. You think we should walk away? Alrighty. That's a fair decision. Alternatively, you may walk through the next tunnel. We move on. You soon arrive at a crossroads in the tunnel. However, you have no time to examine the left and the right branches, as a strange humanoid is advancing towards you from straight ahead. Before you stands a crystal warrior, one of the Snow Witch's personal guardians, who has been sent to deal with you. He is made of quartz, which has been animated by the Snow Witch's sorcery. Sent to deal with us, so they noticed our intrusion. Well, I guess we did leave some bloody corpses behind. Edged weapons will not harm the crystal warrior. Your sword is useless. If you possess a warhammer, you may succeed in smashing a crystal warrior to pieces. We do have a warhammer. Return to page 510. 1 luck, 2 skill, and 2 provisions. Yeah. Do we want to refill our skill so we have a higher chance of a skill check? Or should we just try a luck and maybe lose more skill, and then refill it later? We might not see that day to see it later, considering that our resources have run rather dry. Having a high chance of succeeding a skill check might be useful. On the other hand, if we are unlucky and just, well, get into something where we need luck, we might just lose more skill and there's nothing we can do about it anyways. What do we choose? My gut feeling tells me we should just use the potion of skill. Oh, it didn't fill up all the skill, it looks like. It only went up to 10. Well, that's good to know. So it was not wasted in any case. Or was it? Maybe. Do you possess a warhammer? We do. The Crystal Warrior bears down upon you with surprising speed. You have no choice but to protect yourself. You must fight. Well, he is really agile and strong. We have a Warhammer, we might be able to smash him. But maybe that's not the best thing we could do. Well, we are in the best fighting condition we can be. Almost. Let's try our luck. We roll, and he strikes us with his spear. Blood drips from our hands. We roll again, and he strikes us again. We need to be better. We need to be stronger, more agile, nimble than him. We hit him with our Warhammer, smashing his left fist. He doesn't seem to be particularly intimidated. Well, he's an animated construct, what did you expect? He slashes us with his spear again. He is definitely a worthy adversary. Well, slashes again. This is not going to end well with us if we continue having, well, a bad fight. We're already quite bloody. We did manage to land 2 hits, but that is nothing compared to the 4 hits that we took. At this rate we are going to lose. Let's try. Whether we can either feint, ruse, slash, dice. There's no slicing with a hammer. But we strike him again, square on the head. He doesn't seem impressed. We slash him again, into the knee this time. He can still walk and he'll still fight. As nimble as agile as before. There's some cracks visible. We might be able to do this. With just a few more hits. Preferably without getting struck ourselves. Slashing with a Warhammer, I mean, yeah. I mean, Warhammers don't tend to have a backside that is pointy, right? That counts? Maybe not. Either way, we hit the Crystal Warrior again, striking it for a good amount. Strike again, he seems to be almost shattering. He is still as nimble as agile as he was before. Well, it's an animated construct, but he's not going to last for much longer. If we can land another hit. One hit, straight down. We smash him into tiny pieces. It's hammer time. You step over the pieces of the broken quartz that were once the Crystal Warrior and carry on along the tunnel until it ends at a T-junction. I suggest we use the last of our provisions. Maybe keep one, since we might need it in other circumstances. Another T-junction. Another bookmark added. We're not going to last for too much longer, but hey, maybe, just maybe, we will be able to carry on for just long enough. If you wish to go left, turn to page 150. If you wish to go right, turn to page 368. There we go left, there we go right. What is our next move? So far, left and right, our choices have been of questionable nature, I dare to say. We did get some daggers and a few easy goblins on the right side once, but beyond that, has left disappointed us. iFotch says we go to the right. We move on. To the right in that. Only right is right. The tunnel ends at the wooden door, which is locked. You press your ear to it and hear the sound of feet slowly shuffling across the floor. If you wish to knock on the door, turn to page 83. If you would rather return to the junction and head straight on, turn to page 150. Well, we still have the opportunity to turn back. Smarfisnar says we knock. Well, we are the gentleman that doesn't just bust in through the door. Or gentlewoman, or whatever it might be your case. In this case, this does not look friendly. A man comes to the door. His skin is a sickly grey-white color. His vacant eyes and slow movements are definitely those of a mindless zombie. If you wish to attack him, turn to page 62. If you wish to run back to the junction and head straight on, turn to page 150. Looks like there will be no repercussions for us to just turn back. but we can smash him. He's just saying hi. He might be. Well, we are saying hi with our sword. The zombie picks up a club from behind the door and shuffles forward to fight. He is slow. He's not particularly sturdy. He should be an easy prey for us. We slash him once. Quite heavily. Well, let's just try to slash that point again. Maybe we'll be able to strike him down in a hurry before anyone can do something. We hit the zombie. We could run away. Maybe running away might have some merits. We could alert some guards and we can make a feint and a ruse by running away. Or we could just fight on and actually slash him completely. Test your luck. Testing your luck is a bad idea because we literally need to roll 2 ones in order to succeed, and then we lose 1 luck score. So it's not a good option, I'm sorry. Hey Royal Blue, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Running is not an option. We've always been a smashy character. Alrighty, fight on. We smash the zombie. It turns into many little pieces as we destroy it. Turns out the page 150 was again if we wanted to run away. Oh well. The zombie was probably in charge of the storeroom that the door opens into. Jars and bottles of various shapes and sizes line the walls, and many boxes and barrels are stacked up on the floor. You search quickly through them and find a little of interest, except for a jar of ground minotaur horn, some garlic, a box full of teeth, a jar of pickled lizards' tails, and 4 large dragon eggs. As you will not be able to fit everything into your backpack, you may only take 3 of the items. So, which one do we pick up, guys? iForge says 1, 4, and 5. The ground minotaur horn, jar of pickled lizard hair, and dragon eggs. I definitely like the idea of ground minotaur horns. Box of teeth sounds... I'm not sure about that. Jar of pickled lizard tails. I mean, maybe they are tasty. Could use as provisions. We are kind of low on those. Same with the dragon eggs for that matter. Quadlight says 1 through and 5, which is ground minotaur horn, garlic, and dragon eggs. And Royal Blue Wizard goes with 1, 3, and 5. Well then, we go with ground minotaur horn, can of teeth. Pick those up. We pick up the dragon eggs as well. But for the last one, we may want to decide. You feel like there's a vampire, so if the 3 take 2. Maybe we encounter vampire. Maybe. Maybe we could use the jar of pickled lizard tails as food. We could use the provisions. Alright, it has been decided. We take up the garlic. To be fair, you can also eat garlic, and it makes for a pretty good soup. Leaving the room, you walk back to the junction and head straight down the tunnel. Go to page 150. It was a nice detour. Worthy one. The tunnel ends at a wooden door, which opens when you turn the handle. You walk into a massive, high-ceiling chamber, which ends in a wall of ice. In the center of the chamber is an open marble sarcophagus with its lid propped up against its side. A white rat suddenly jumps out of the sarcophagus and runs towards you. It stops in front of you and starts to grow and change shape. If you possess any ground minotaur horn, turn to page 52. Well, that might come in handy right away. The white rat. Yeah, the dwarf told us something about the rat, didn't he? Bedtime stories. Remember an old legend. You remember an old legend that ground minotaur horn is the only substance that can stop a metamorphosis. What? Metamorphosis. A metamorphosis. I cannot do this quickly. You remember an old legend that ground minotaur horn is the only substance that can stop a metamorphosis spell from working. You quickly sprinkle all of the powder on the growing creature and relax a little as it shrinks back to a white rat again. The legend was true. Intrigued by the open sarcophagus, you decide to walk over and examine it. Success! Yes, if some of you were here in the previous session or your previous attempt, this is where it ended. We didn't have the Minotaur horn. You. As you approach the sarcophagus, a woman's eerie laughter echoes around the chamber. A beautiful woman wearing white fur slowly rises out of the sarcophagus, and when she smiles, you see the telltale fangs and realize with horror that the Snow Witch is a vampire. If you have some garlic, turn to page 210. That is the Snow Witch. Uh-oh. We want to eat our last provision before we head on. Just kind of... Hold on! Hang on, I want to eat my food here real quick before we continue. I feel a little bit weak. Just stay in the sarcophagus for a little longer. Eat. Okay, we eat some of our provisions and threw garlic on top of it as well, because we have garlic, come on. The Snow Witch recoils from the garlic, giving you time to think. You know that a vampire can only be killed by driving a stake through its heart. You possess a cast-rune stick, turn to 34, if not, turn to 10. Well, you panic when you realize that you are not carrying the weapons needed to slay a vampire. The Snow Witch slowly overcomes her fear of the garlic and gradually gains control of your mind, forcing you to bare your neck in readiness for her to drink your blood. You will be her servant forever in the world of the undead. The end. Well, fits pretty well, indeed. We have died. Again. As is tradition in those pick your adventures books, if you don't have the correct tools, by getting, well, lucky by choosing the correct place to go, you're not going to survive. So I guess that zombie item is required, and you had 2 out of the 5 items for sure. A zombie encounter might not necessarily be required. We did have garlic, but it doesn't say that we would straight up lose if we didn't have it. And we did not necessarily need the ground Minotaur horn, we could have just fought the creature, whatever it was. These are fighting fantasy stories, yes they are. So, I believe we have some more bookmarks. Can we choose other bookmarks? Where was the other bookmark here? Let's go back. This was right after we got to the dwarf. I suggest we go back to the entrance. That was 137. Be this one? Alrighty. This is back at the entrance, where we see the weird creature, the elf, that apparently has a collar. Now that we've already dreamed this dream once, we kind of know that the elf is not necessarily someone fear. But maybe he needs to be convinced first, since he is under an obedience collar. So you may want to attack him first. So, I decide we are going to do this. So, we need to find, and that we know now, a wooden stake. So, we must fight. As you draw your sword, the mountain elf lets out a shrill battle cry and pulls back his cloak and grips his sword. He is pretty weak, he has only a skill of 6. We still have plenty of stamina, we might be able to beat him rather easily, as long as he doesn't roll too high. We slash him. Despite him having a pretty good move, we are just more agile and nimble than him. He attempts to slash at us again. Well, he is no match, and he begs for mercy. The wounded mountain elf calls out for mercy. If you wish to slay him, turn to page 351. If you wish to spare his life, turn to page 204. Which one should we do, guys? Well, we know he's not necessarily someone who likes the Frost Witch, just by having read the book already to an extent, but we can't really tell what happens if we don't slay him right now. He might still alert the guards. Maybe. Honestly, you don't mind being her servant? Fair enough. It's better than being killed by a snow witch than staying trapped. Yeah. So, I've always been a good at two shoes. We spare his life. The elf slumps on the floor and pulls back his hood. You see a metal collar around his neck, glowing in the semi-darkness. Obedience collar, he stammers in pain. Makes use to us do whatever she wishes. If I die, it will lose its energy, but she will know and send others to investigate. Elves, even we mountain elves, would not serve that vile witch of our own free will. Kill her and free us. I bear you no grudge for attacking me, for you knew no better. Take my cloak to disguise yourself and follow this tunnel to where it branches. Take the random fork. Now I must rest. You put the elf's cloak around your shoulders and make him as comfortable as you can. You shake his hand and run off down the tunnel. You soon arrive at the fork at the tunnel that the mountain elf mentioned and decide to take his advice, and you enter the tunnel to your right. Further ahead, in the left-hand wall of the tunnel, you see a gap. You walk up to it and peer around to see a cave in which a Neanderthal is stripping a skin off a moose, making it ready for a large simmering stew pot behind him. He is working very slowly and is being yelled at by the gnome, Cook, who is wearing a white apron, waving a wooden spoon in the air. A wooden spoon, you say? Maybe we could use that. Maybe you should attack them this time. You should enter the crude kitchen, turn to 95. Let's do that. By the way, now you have to be a bit faster if you'd like to affect the decision, or let me explain as to why we would not take certain decisions, as we have already seen quite a few of them. Feel free to ask it either way. The gnome runs up to you and shouts,
Get out! Dinner will not be ready for another 2 hours. You'll hear the bell. Mind you look a little worse for wear, so you can have a little stale cake if you wish.
The gnome points at a piece of cake lying on the table. I mean, he's a pretty nice gnome. I don't necessarily want to ruin him, but you would rather attack the snow witch's servants. Crush them. As you draw your sword, the gnome yells in order to the dull-witted Neanderthal, telling him to kill you. The Neanderthal grunts and stands up, pushing the table away from him. He picks up a carving knife and a stool as a shield and lumbers forward to attack. He must fight. He is slow and steady, but also rather strong. We do not want to get hit. We strike. He growls a little as we hit him. He seems to be rather weak, surprisingly. Normally they are a bit stronger than this. We try to strike again. With a little find and a ruse, we hit him again, square across the chest. We attack again, slashing him, this time close to his neck. He appears to be almost dead. One more strike and we can end it. With one last slash, the Neanderthal falls. He never stood a chance. The gnome does not want to end up like the Neanderthal and runs out the cave, shouting for help. If you wish to search through the cupboards and risk the gnome returning with reinforcements, turn to page 194. If you would rather leave the cave immediately and turning left into the tunnel, turn to 198. We don't even get the cake here? Come on! We could have at least taken the cake. Alrighty. Page 194, it has been decided for us. Thank you for participating, by the way. The cupboards are full of pots, pans, bowls, and spoons. One cupboard is locked, and you have to prise it open with your sword. It contains the gnome's personal possessions: a silver flute, a rune-carved wooden stick painted with blue and yellow hoops, an old withered rose, and an old leather-bound book entitled The Secrets of Toads. What will you do? blow the flute, read the runes on the stick, or smell the rose, read the book, leave the possessions and turn left back into the tunnel. Well then, read the runes on the stick. Efkura says, maybe blow the flute. I would like to smell the roses, but you guys have decided. Read the runes on the stick. Your knowledge of runes is limited and you put the stick in your backpack, hoping to decipher it later. If you have not done so already, you may blow the flute, smell the rose, read the book. Oh, we can do more things. That's nice. So we can still continue, but we can't tell when the gnome might return with more reinforcements. Maybe we have still time. Blow the flute, it has been decided. Alright. You blow into the flute and a jolly tune comes from it without you having to play a note. You decide to put the magic flute in your backpack. And then we can still smell the roses, as Royal Blue Wizard would like to do this. And me too. Despite being withered, the rose smells fresh and fragrant. As you inhale, you feel as though you're breathing new life into your lungs. You gain 3 stamina points. Oh, that was actually pretty awesome. Do we get that rose? Can we just take it with us? Nope, we don't take it with us. Basically, we breathe so heavily on the rose, or we smell it so strongly, it just evaporates, losing its scent because it's all in our nostrils. Well then, the book must be cursed. Royal Blue Wizard says it's better to bail and leave now. And so we do. You didn't know there's a version of this as a game? You loved these books as a child. I only knew one of those kinds of books, and I don't even know which one it was, but I really liked it, but I only got to borrow it from a friend at a time. Alrighty. Here we go. Reading a book would take too long in your opinion, and he would return. I mean, most likely, yes. That is what likely would happen. The Lone Wolf series. I may have read that one. There's more of those kinds of choose your own adventures, and I figured Storytime at Halloween is a nice way to go about it. I like books. And almost all OG of them, nice. In the distance, you hear chanting voices. Before long, the tunnel ends at the entrance to a large cavern. Kneeling down before an ice effigy in the shape of a demon, their hooded faces pressed to the ice floor in worship, are 10 of the Snow Witch's followers. There are 2 exits to the cave, one to your left, one to your right. If you are wearing a cloak, turn to page 384, which we are doing now. You pull down the hood of your cloak as far as possible and walk towards the tunnel, exit to your right. We currently have a luck score of 4, which means we need to roll 4 or less in order to succeed. Since we roll 2 dice, the chances are we are rolling 4 or less is not that great. Let's see. We do get snake eyes. Lucky. Excellent. By the way, we still lose 1 point of luck, just for reference. None of the warships suspect that you are an intruder, and you are able to walk through their temple without trouble into the other tunnel. Turn to page 137. The tunnel ends quite soon at a T-junction. To your left you can hear cries for help. We help the cries for help. Of course we do. I'm a goody two-shoes after all. The tunnel ends at the edge of a pit, out of which a dwarf is trying to climb, but he keeps on slipping back. The floor of the pit is covered with large ice boulders, which have crashed down from a shaft above the pit. One lands on the dwarf's shoulders, and you hear wild cheers from top of the shaft as he tumbles to the floor. The dwarf sees you and shouts, "Curse you, stranger! If you do not aid me, I'll see that you're not wearing a collar!" "Oh, curse you, stranger, if you do not aid me." Then, that's the other one. If you wish to help the dwarf out of the pit, turn to page 376. For anyone who may have only just joined us recently, generally I'll let people decide. In this case, We already kind of know the outcome. I'm still going to read it, but this is kind of seems rather beneficial the way we handle it, and this is kind of how these choose your own adventure books work. You get more experience in them, you know not to pick, just by pure virtue of having had the same dream already, if you get what I mean. You lay down and lean over the edge of the pit and tell the dwarf to grab your arm. Much to the annoyance of the spectators above, the dwarf escapes from the pit. You run together back to the junction where the dwarf turns right. You tell the dwarf that you intend to carry straight on to find the Snow Witch, as turning right will lead you back to the Hall of Worship. The dwarf tells you that he must escape quickly and returns to his village now that he is free. He thanks you for helping him and hands you a leather bag, then runs off. But before he disappears, he turns and shouts, "Beware of the white rat!" And you open the leather bag and find a sling and 3 iron balls. You pack them away and set off along the tunnel. Turn to page 125. The tunnel through the glacier soon leads into the mountainside itself, and the walls change from ice to bare rock. You enter a large cavern which has 3 other exits, leading from it, one to your left, one to your right, and the main one. Carved as a giant skull lying directly opposite. As you enter, an ugly robed man steps out of the mouth of the skull, holding a glass prism in his outstretched hands. He commands you to turn back, as only the Snow Witch's personal servants are allowed inside the mountain. If you have a magic flute, you may wish to tell him that you have been asked to come and play for the witch. Do we want to play the flute? Or maybe we want to just try and attack him. We're not the luckiest fellows. Maybe the flute requires luck. Or we could try it. Let's add a bookmark. Flute, flute, flute. Alrighty. The man nods his head and tells you to follow him. He walks towards the left-hand exit and points down the tunnel, telling you that the Snow Witch's chamber is at the end. If you wish to walk into the tunnel, turn to 214. If you would rather draw your sword to attack him, turn to 156. FF Guru says 214. Let's go. As soon as you step in the tunnel, an iron grill drops down behind you, barring your retreat. The man laughs out loud and says, "You were foolish to think you could trick me so easily, when all the world can see you're not wearing your obedience collar. Now, intruder, you're trapped. There's nothing you can do but find what lies at the end of the tunnel." You as soon as arrive at an iron door which blocks your way forward. Beyond the iron door, the tunnel turns to right. We don't have a key. You're trapped. Inside the mountain tunnels, you know that it will not be long before the Snow Witch's guards discover you and condemn you to the life of slavery. You have failed your mission. The end. Except that I'm going back to the pages. Which one was it? Alright, let's play the flute for the Snow Witch. And then, we would rather draw our sword and attack him, I guess. Yeah, I already knew that this would happen on the left tunnel, basically, because we explored it earlier. But I was curious whether there might be a different reaction based on the wizard sending us down there. The ugly man sneers as you draw your sword. He rubs the prism and suddenly 3 identical images of himself appear. They walk towards you, each one has a dagger raised in his right hand. 2 of the images must be illusions, but which one will you strike with your sword? Immediately people shout, "The one on the right!" You must have some idea. The illusionist screams in pain as his sword cuts into his side. He drops to the floor as his other 2 images fade away. As you step over him, he starts to laugh and stands up, his wound completely healed. You wish to thrust your sword at him again. Turn to page 261. I would actually kind of like to know what happens when we do that, because so far we smashed the orb in the prison. Maybe we can actually slice and dice him real well, and that works too. We are at page 232. Let's just see. The illusionist makes no attempt to clock your sword as it cuts down through the air. Your sword, instead of striking the illusionist, hits an invisible barrier and shatters, leaving you with the hilt and the short broken blade. You lose 1 luck point and 1 skill point. There's nothing you can do except try to grab his probable source of power, the prism. That is not a good thing. Let's go back. Basically, this happens just either way, it looks like. The other way, we just lose our sword. You pretend to give up the fight, and then suddenly leap at the illusionist, catching him momentarily off guard. You manage to snatch the prism out of his hand and throw it onto the floor. It shatters into tiny pieces, and the illusionist turns and flees into the skull mouth, screaming at the top of his voice. Smoke rises from the shattered fragments of the prism, and forms itself into a shape of a bald, fat man. A genie. Hovering in midair, he bows and thanks you for releasing him. He tells you that if you call on him, he will make you invisible. Just once, as a token of his gratitude. Without saying another word, the image shimmers and disappears. You now have to decide which way to head. Bookmark 261 for science. Bookmark 72, because I kind of would like to go the right tunnel. The thing is, you need luck. We have a luck of 3, so chances are we are not going to get lucky. But I would kind of like to know what happens when we go to the right and actually get lucky. Is it okay with you guys if I just kind of repeatedly try until we succeed? Or would you rather see what happens on the straightforward path first? Go for it. Take 20. Let's do it. As soon as you step into the tunnel, an iron grill drops down behind you, barring your retreat. It is impossible to lift, and there is nothing you can do but find out what lies at the end of the tunnel. You soon arrive at another iron grill, which blocks your way forward. Beyond the grill, a tunnel turns left. On the wall opposite, you see a knob which you realize must be pressed to lift the iron grill. Unfortunately, it is beyond your reach, even if you stretch with your sword. If you have 1 more dagger... Oh, we don't have any daggers this time. Whoopsie. And this is also the end. Basically the exact same thing as before. Okay, never mind. We don't have daggers. I forgot about this. Apparently a slingshot with iron balls is not a fitting thing. Yeah, I forgot about this time. We needed to kill goblins at the beginning in order to get the daggers. Daggers? Yeah, no daggers. Either way, we just go straight down. The tunnel soon leads into another cavern, where you see a huge, white-bearded man, wearing a white furs, lifting a wooden chest to a high shelf. He is a frost giant. There's only one other exit out of his lair, via a tunnel on the opposite wall. We attack him. The frost giant has not noticed you yet. His face is creased as he concentrates on his task, oblivious to anything around him. If you have a sling, you wish to use it against the frost giant, turn to 373. You may do indeed use the sling this time, as TC Matthews decides. You place an iron ball in the sling and twirl it around your head before releasing it at the frost giant. Roll the dice twice. If the number of total is same or less than your skill scored, turn to 12. So basically, if we get lucky, we need to roll 10 or less. And we succeed. You definitely pass the skill check. The iron ball flies through the air and hits the frost giant on the temple. His huge frame crumples to the floor like a house of cards. The wooden chest he was lifting breaks open, spilling its contents. You find 3 ornate rings and a cracked bottle which emits a sweet and scented odor. If you wish to try any of the rings, turn to page 65. We do indeed. Having rubbed the bottle and sniffed your fingers, you decide that if it is only perfume inside. You examine the 3 rings and decide which one to put on your finger. We put on the gold ring on our fingers. We heard that silver rings are not good, because no real vampire would keep silver rings around. So this one must be wretched. You're now wearing a magic ring that will enable its wearer to resist the effects of freezing cold. You gain 1 luck point. If you have not done so already, you may put on the others, either silver ring or the copper ring. We put on the copper ring too. You're now wearing a magic ring which has the power to summon a warrior to your aid once only. You gain 1 luck point. If you have not already done so, you may either put on the gold ring or put on the silver ring. Alternatively, you may walk through the next tunnel. Oh, we just walk out. Basically, we already know. The gold ring is at a silver ring is no good. You soon arrive at a crossroads in the tunnel. However, you have no time to examine the left and the right branches, as your strange humanoid is advancing towards you from straight ahead. Before you stands a crystal warrior, one of the Snow Witch's personal guardians, who has been sent to deal with you. He is made of quartz, which has been animated by the Snow Witch's sorcery. Edged weapons will not harm the crystal warrior. Your sword is useless. If you possess a warhammer, you may succeed in smashing a crystal warrior to pieces. By the way, we previously did not have a warhammer in our previous run, and it actually turns out it's not too bad of a result. But we do have a warhammer, we don't actually get the choice to go the other route. The crystal warrior bears down upon you with surprising speed. You have no choice but to protect yourself. We could use a potion of skill. I'm just going to add a bookmark. You must fight. The crystal warrior is strong. He's nimble, he's agile, much more than he seems to. Well, considering he's made out of quartz, you wouldn't think that he was that quick. He hits us for a good strike. We're still on good spirits, so we don't really mind it too much yet. He strikes us again. We start to bleed rather heavily. We need to outsmart him. We strike him once, square in the chest. Small cracks start to show, begin to form. We strike him again, same spot, once again. More cracks form. We strike again, this time his head. Small pieces start flying off his armor. We are definitely getting somewhere, but we still have a ways to go. He strikes us. His spear just barely managed to pierce through the side of our ribs. Not through the ribs, through the side of our chest? Not the chest. Basically just scratches us, but I meant to say, that's why I'm not a good DM. Excuse me. Fight on. We have a tie. Our weapons plink off each other harmlessly. We're not used to a warhammer, but we are slowly starting to get used to it. Although the warrior with his crystal spear is, well, quite strong to say the least. We strike him again. Large cracks appear on his front. We might be able to take him down soon, but at the same time, we kind of have to take him down soon, else we are going to be crumbling. We are bleeding heavily. It's not a good sign. Our weapons once again play off each other. In a half-hearted attempt, we managed to, well, not even hit him. We swing through the air and he just strikes us again, square across the chest. We are not in good shape. We are getting struck again. We need to hit him now. We are overcome by the enemy. Defeated. You're dead. You have succumbed in your quest to find the crystal caves and locate the treasure of the Snow Witch. The end. But it turns out, kind of a dirty cheater. Suddenly, you know how to fight him. Maybe fight him a bit better. End up being a bit stronger, maybe a bit luckier. Take two. Just hit him again. With the experience that we have gathered from our dream world, where we've already fought him once, we managed to be stronger, clever, more agile, more nimble. However, he is still much stronger and faster than we expect. He hits us again and again, striking us in surprising fashion. He appears to change tactics as we change tactics. But we strike him again, square on the head. But we are bleeding heavily. Large cracks start to form on his chest. 2 more strikes and he will be down. We need to evade his most dangerous maneuvers. We do so barely, just avoiding what he is striking at us. However, we don't have much more life left in us. He seems to be almost dead as well. Our weapons blink off each other. We try to hit him again, however, he is just too fast. We need to hit him. We need to smash him. And finally, we are triumphant. We are bleeding heavily. We have, well, taken a heavy toll from that battle. We rest a little while, then we move on. You step over the pieces of the broken quartz that were once the Crystal Warrior and carry along the tunnel until it ends at a D-junction. Do we turn left or do we turn right? Well, we know from previous experience, from our dream world, that we should turn to the right. The tunnel ends at a wooden door, which is locked. You press your ear to it and hear the sound of feet slowly shuffling across the floor. We knock on the door. A man comes to the door. His skin is sickly grey-white color. His vacant eyes and slow movements are definitely those of a mindless zombie. If you wish to attack him, turn to page 62. And we do so indeed. The zombie picks up a club from behind the door and shuffles forward to fight you. We are well rested. We are a quite strong fighter. The Crystal Warrior was powerful. However, a slow little zombie is going to be no match. We will destroy him in short succession, probably not even taking as much of a scratch. We will not run away, because why would we? There's reasons, I guess, but most of the time we want to just see what's in this chamber. The zombie was probably in charge of a storeroom that the door opens into. Jars and bottles of various shapes and sizes line the walls, and many boxes and barrels are stacked up on the floor. You search quickly through them and find little of interest, except for a jar of ground minotaur horn, some garlic, a box full of teeth, a jar of pickled lizard tails, and 4 large dragon eggs. As you will not be able to fit everything into your backpack, you may only take 3 of the items. Royal Blue Wizard says 125. Let's actually make a bookmark. We go with 1. We take the ground minotaur horn, the garlic, and the dragon eggs with us. If we are hungry, we can eat the garlic with dragon eggs. We can probably make a makeshift omelette. The tunnel ends at a wooden door, which opens when you turn the handle. You walk into a massive high-ceiling chamber, which ends in the wall of ice. In the center of the chamber is an open marble sarcophagus with its lid propped up against its side. A white rat suddenly jumps out of the sarcophagus and runs towards you. It stops in front of you and starts to grow and change shape. You remember that an old legend, that the ground minotaur horn is the only substance that can stop a metamorphosis spell from working. You quickly sprinkle all of the powder on the growing creature and relax a little as it shrinks back to a white rat again. The legend was true. Intrigued by an open sarcophagus, you decide to walk over and examine it. As you approach the sarcophagus, a woman's eerie laughter echoes around the chamber. A beautiful woman wearing white fur slowly rises out of the sarcophagus, and when she smiles, you see the telltale fangs and realize with horror that the Snow Witch is a vampire. We have garlic. The Snow Witch recoils from the garlic, giving you time to think. You know that a vampire can only be killed by driving a stake through its heart. If you possess a carved runestick, turn to 34. As we have learned before, turning to 10 leads to the end. What lies beyond here? Taking the stick from your backpack, you thrust it at the heart of the Snow Witch. Your skill is 10 or less. turn to 123. Your skill is higher than 10, turn to 4. Well, will we use this? I don't know whether this actually works right now, honestly. Whether it will change the option, but it should, right? It's not in combat, so we can use it. Should. Royal Blue Wizard said we should. It does not appear to change the outcome here, so we would have had to take it earlier. Well, let's see what's happening here. The Snow Witch managed to overcome her fear of garlic and knocks the stick out of your hand. Her gaze is powerful and you hear a voice in your mind telling you to drop the garlic and loosen your color. Roll 2 dice. If the total is the same or less than your skill score, turn to 114, meaning we get lucky. We do get lucky indeed. Turn to page 114. You manage to keep control of your mind and pick up the stick again. This time, you thrust it at the Snow Witch's heart with even more determination. Ding dong, the Snow Witch is dead. The stake pierces the Snow Witch's heart, and her death wail makes you shudder. She starts to decompose, and soon all that is left is a pile of dust on the floor. You see a vague shape in the wall of ice at the end of the chamber, and decide to investigate. Uh-oh. You see a frozen into the ice wall, an ornate trunk open and filled with golden jewels. You hack away at the ice until you reach the trunk. A golden idol is the first thing you pick up, but suddenly it bursts out of your hands and changes into a golden warrior, a sentinel, left to guard the treasure. You must fight. The Golden Sentinel, having been in ice for such a long time, well, he might not be the strongest. We might have an edge over him. Might. But at the same time, his strikes quick and hard. Try to hit him. You manage to slash and make a deep gash into his armor. His armor seems to be kind of frail. Rather frail compared to what we are used to fighting so far anyways. We slash it again. His sword just kind of... well... it seems slow. We can evade it easily. We try to hit him again. Slash him again. It seems easy. We seem to have no trouble with this battle. And so with just one more strike, we slash the armor in half. Steel is stronger than gold. Confirmed. The guardian of the Snow Witch's treasure is dead, and you are free to help yourself to her riches. Although there's a limit to how much you can carry. You may fill your backpack with gold pieces, and you count 600 in all. However, for each 150 you take, you will have to remove one item from your backpack and leave it behind. What is in the backpack? Well, currently in our backpack we have a leather armor, cloak, rune stick, magic flute, iron balls, sling, garlic, dragon eggs. I thought call for a bookmark. Let's do this. Do we take all of it? Because of course, we're greedy. I thought agrees. Gimme, gimme. Take all the witch's treasure. Remove an object from your backpack to fit the gold pieces. Which item will we choose? Ah, we can only choose specific ones. Which means since we take 600, we will remove all of those. The copper ring means we don't have anything else to do. Oh, no. We can actually drop the dragon egg, cloak, or the spear. Ah, I thought that's the flute. Sorry, I should have let you choose. Sorry, I figured we would have to drop everything. So, Smarf is Marf, and I thought says cloak. I agree. You must drop another object to make more space. Which items will we drop? A gold ring, the sling, a dragon egg, or the spear? T.C. Matthews says the spear. Quadlight says the sling. I thought agrees with the spear. Well, let us drop the spear. And one more. Which item will we choose? The gold ring, the iron balls, which makes the sling kind of pointless if you remove the iron balls. Magic flute, or the warhammer. The warhammer had some good use, but it's kind of heavy. The magic flute, we haven't really managed to find any use for it yet, but hey. iFoot says the warhammer, but Royal Blue says magic flute. And iFoot reconsiders says magic flute as well. We drop the magic flute, keep the warhammer. Just as you finish filling your backpack, you hear the sound of running feet coming down a tunnel toward the chamber. You stand up and draw your sword, wondering if you can survive much more hard combat. Two men suddenly appear at the door, a dwarf and an elf, but they do not look as though they are about to attack you. Should we eat some provisions to get full health, by the way? They are smiling broadly, and they both try to speak at once. The elf finally taking command. You have killed her! We are free! We will soon be able to take off our obedience colors. Now we wish to repay you, friend, by helping you escape. You cannot leave but the caverns by the way you came. The Snow Witch followers are waiting for you, and the tunnels are alive with goblins. Our fellow elves and dwarves are battling against them now to give you time to flee. We must waste no more time. To your surprise, the elf walks straight toward the cavern wall opposite the door, and appears to pass right through it. Another of the Snow Witch's illusions. Another of the Snow Witch's illusions, comments the dwarf. Our escape route she never got the chance to use. The trouble is we have never used it either. The dwarf laughs to himself and walks toward the wall, you following behind. Walking through the illusion, you find yourself in a narrow torchlit tunnel, which you walk down in a single file. It soon ends at a junction, and you discuss which way to turn. Do we turn right, or do we turn left? Well, it looks like at least one person already decided. We turn to the left. Page 61. As you walk along, the elf introduces himself. My name is Redswift, and he is known as Stub. He says, pointing to the smiling dwarf. We met here as slaves in the service of the vast Snow Witch. We both now hope to return to our villages. I live in the Moonstone's hills, and Stub comes from Stonebridge. If we manage to escape from those infernal caverns, you are more than welcome to come and stay with us. Stonebridge is on the way to my village in the hills. It's also a long way off. Before Redswift can continue, Stub shouts and points at an orb lying on the floor. It is made of glass, and in the torchlight it seems to glow with swirling colors. Leave it, says Redswift. We do not need it, and it could be a trap. If you wish to ignore Redswift's advice and pick up the orb, turn to page 48. If you would rather keep on walking, turn to page 166. Alrighty. What should we do, guys? Pick up the orb? Inspect it? Look at it? You feel like this is the reason we saved him. No, we saved him because he's a good guy. Come on. The swirly orb looks so nice. It has such good colors. It is rather hypnotizing to look at. Maybe we should just investigate it. Maybe we should take a look. Maybe we want to take it. I've watched this as. Turn to page 48. When you pick it up, the orb starts to get warmer and its colors change rapidly and swirl around. Redswift and Stub back away, telling you to put it down. What will it do? T.C. Matthews already says prematurely, smash the orb. Keep hold of the orb, place it gently on the floor or throw it down a tunnel. Well, you kind of told me to throw it down a tunnel basically. You hurl the orb as hard as you can down a tunnel. It shatters when it hits the ground, and there's a blinding flash of light, followed by a ball of white heat which rushes up the tunnel. The heat is so intense that a scorching blast reaches you before you can move. Roll 2 dice. The total will be deducted from your stamina score. Smashy smash. 6. You are left with 11 stamina. I'm eating some of my provisions. If you're still alive, turn to page 248. You regain consciousness to find Red Swift and stop attending to your burns. I don't like to say I told you so, Red Swift says sarcastically. You try to walk out, but the pain is too severe. We'll have to rest here, says Stop, looking concerned. Oh, we'll have to rest here, says Stop, looking concerned. But it won't be long before the Snow Witch goblins find us. There's nothing you can do but lay down again. Test your luck. Don't have much luck. Do we? You're lucky. Time passes slowly, but no goblins appear. The rebel slaves must be winning the battle of the caverns. Eventually, you feel fit enough to walk, and with the help of Stop, you manage to hobble down the tunnel. After walking for another 5 minutes, the tunnel turns sharply right, and right again, and a few meters further on. You soon arrive at a junction, and after a discussion, you decide to turn left rather than continue straight on. You don't get to choose. Placed against the left-hand wall of the tunnel, you see a large iron casket with a brass handle in the shape of a serpent. No one volunteers to open the casket, so you decide to draw lots. Roll 1 die. If you roll a 1 or 2, turn to 73. If you roll 3 or 4, turn to 196. If you roll a 5 or 6, turn to 353. 3. Stop draws the short straw and reaches for the handle, cursing his luck. As soon as he touches it, it comes alive. An asp curls itself around his hand, and before he can shake it off, it sinks its poisonous fangs into his wrists. He falls onto his knees, clutching his wrist with his other hand. Red Swift quickly draws off the poison with his knife. Luckily, the dwarf has a strong constitution, and he soon recovers enough strength to continue. This might have been the lucky one. The tunnel soon ends at a T-junction. Stepping into a cross passage, you almost bump into a primitive-looking man wearing furs and carrying a lordstone club. He is a caveman. You draw your sword and tell Red Swift and Stop to head quickly down the right-hand tunnel while you deal with the caveman. Must fight. So, we are pretty strong and agile. Well, we should be able to win against the caveman who is rather untrained. We've been training our entire lives. He might be relatively sturdy. Actually, he's already bleeding rather profusely from all his wounds, and it does not look like he will be able to hold his own against our vicious attacks. He falls after just a few short swings. What was the other one we stopped? Ah, I didn't see that. A pouch on the caveman's belt contains a star-shaped metal disc, which you decide to put in your backpack. Not wishing to meet any more cavemen, you run along the tunnel to catch up with Red Swift and Stop. Wait, they already ran ahead? We get an ace, pretty much. Oh boy, this is not looking friendly. I told them to run ahead, I did? I'm sorry, I guess I'm starting to lose focus. The tunnel ends at a door which swings open before you even touch it. You look into a cavern and are surprised to see Red Swift and Stop kneeling in submission to a horrible roped creature with an octopus-like head. 2 of its tentacles are wrapped around your friends' heads, and they are trapped by the hypnotic powers of the Brain Slayer. I do not have an amulet of courage. The Brain Slayer's disgusting tentacles flail frantically as it concentrates its mental power in an effort to draw you towards it. Unable to resist, you walk in a trance towards the hideous creature. You can only watch hopelessly as it wraps one of its tentacles around your head. You feel weak, and soon black out as the Brain Slayer begins to feed on your brain power. You lose 2 skill points and 6 stamina points. You're still alive. Turn to page 230. You wake to find Red Swift and Stop lying unconscious on the floor. There is no sign of the Brain Slayer. You groan as you try to sit up. The pain in your head is almost unbearable. Your two companions eventually come round. They are obviously suffering too. They explain that the brain slayer drew them into the cavern and they were powerless to resist. You examine the chamber and see another door opposite of the far wall. There are also two clay pots in the recess in the wall, one red and one grey. What will you do? Look inside the red pot, look inside the grey pot, or do we just go through the door? iForge decides to go with 101. Actually, at this point, if we happen to die due to decision, I'm just going to let it roll. If we happen to die due to combat, I'm probably going to reroll the combat. Alrighty, 101. Lying at the bottom of the red pot is a square metal disc, which you decide to put in your backpack. If you wish to look inside the grey pot, you can still do that. QC Matthew says, smash the pots! It's not an option, but I could look into it. Would you like to do so? We can also make the appropriate sounds of yeah, 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 yeah. iForge says 344. Lying at the bottom of the grey pot is an old parchment scroll with an unbroken wax seal. If you wish to break the seal and read the scroll, turn to page 224, or leave the cavern by the door opposite. Well, we can still go back, we can still return. Last time with the zombie it was a good idea to just continue on. Maybe this time it's different? Who knows? iForge says, let's just do it. Break the seal. As soon as you begin to reading the scroll, the writing starts to fade. Roll 2 dice. If the total is the same or less than your skill score, turn to 147. So basically it's a test of skill. You roll a 3 and definitely pass the skill check. Excellent. Speed reader. Before the writing fades away, you learn a spell which will protect you against an attack by an air elemental. You gain 1 luck point. You memorize the words Gulsang Abidar and then decide what to do next. If you have not done so already, you may either look inside the red pot, we have done so, or we go to leave the cavern by the door opposite. The door opens into yet another tunnel, and you begin to wonder whether you will ever find your way out of the caverns of the Snow Witch. You look at the Red Swift and stop, but they do not appear to be very concerned. The tunnel soon ends at another door, and you notice a dagger sticking out of its oak paneling. If you wish to pull the dagger out of the door, turn to 55. If you would rather open the door, turn to page 285. Gulsangabidar. Do we still have our items after blacking out? That is an excellent question. It looks like we still have everything that we still had. No. Star disk and a square disk. Wait, when did we get a star disk? iForge says, grab the dagger. By the way, anybody is welcome to just kind of say what we should do. Even if you don't necessarily know what's going on, if you have joined recently, just tell me what we should do. We have no idea what's happening. So we pull out the dagger from the door. When you pull the dagger from the door, it suddenly takes on a will of its own. Involuntarily, you start to stab at your own leg with a wild dagger in your hand. You lose 2 stamina points. We are down to 11. Less than that. Do we at least get the dagger? You're still alive. Red Swift and Stop run to your aid and try to force your hand to stab the door in order to trap the dagger. Test your luck. Well, we needed a 5, and we certainly did not get that one. Your luck has run out. Despite straining with all their might, your friends are unable to force your hand against the door. The dagger's power makes your hand turn again, and this time you plunge the blade into your side. You lose 1 skill point and 4 stamina points. You're still alive, turn to page 509. Your friends try again to force the dagger into the door. Test your luck. Well, we needed a 4 this time because our luck gets lower and lower. We get unlucky. Once again, your friends fail to overcome the power of the dagger. You watch with horror as your arm rises and plunges the dagger into your own chest. Your adventure ends here. The end. And thus ends our adventure into the caverns of the Snow Witch. Wow, suicide, good job. Yeah, pretty brutal dagger. You would not necessarily expect the dagger to kill you, rather whatever is behind the door. But hey, Choose Your Own Adventure books are meant to be played over and over again. But eventually my voice will give up. Plus, we have Halloween. We have a little spooky story that doesn't necessarily end in a happy end. And well, I hope you enjoyed the show. That's that for now. Thank you very much.